Hello everybody and welcome to the round 14 AFL tips and predictions video. I'm your host, the Matt Danger, joined here by Uncle who's down the bottom now.
Hello, how's it going?
Good mate, how are you?
Good.
Good, we've changed around the layout for this video. We're testing something. Uncle's come up with an idea, so we're trying to implement that, see how we go with it. Got a new image to that side over there. So hopefully everybody enjoys it. If you do like the changes, let us know. If you don't, if you like it the old way, just let us know too. We're trying to mix things up, change it up, see what we can do right. Of course, if you want to join us for live watch-alongs of any of the games, we do most of them, probably 4 or 5 out of the weekend. We live stream here on YouTube and over on Twitch, so you can come join us, watch along with us, chat some shit. Basically, that's what we do for the 3 hours of the footy, is watch some good footy and chat a lot of shit. So if that piques your interest, come by.
Do some trivia, do some betting.
Yeah, exactly. It's good. That's Thursday and Friday nights guaranteed, and then usually 1 or 2 games on Saturday and 1 or 2 games on the Sunday. So just make sure to give us a like and subscribe and click the notifications, and you'll see whenever we go live. So on to this week, though. We have last week's tips to start us off.
Oh, yes.
We had 68 to 70. To start off the week. I, however, got 5 tips correct this past week. You got, unfortunately, 4. We both had Bulldogs wrong. You tipped Adelaide against Brisbane. I'm okay with losing that tip, though, because Crom wins, and I'm happy either way. I went Sydney over Richmond, so that was one back for me. Both getting Geelong, thankfully, still in the gauntlet. Giants upsetting us by letting Port Adelaide win. Yeah, can't forgive them for that. North Melbourne getting up in a horrible match over West Coast. That was awful. Carlton just hanging on against Essendon after a cracking first quarter, but they got pegged back a bit. And Pies in a tough contest, I think, all day. It was pretty good, pretty close as well, and they just hung on there. So that brings our totals, myself up to 73 and you up to 74. So 1 point in it now. Very, very close. We'll see how it goes after this round. We'll see. Just before we get into this week's tips, I've got the ladder predictor, which has changed around a lot, actually, if we have a look at things. Fremantle are now tied with GWS in for 8th spot, with percentage being the only difference. So now we do have a little bit of a contest, a little bit of bitey towards the end of the season, something that's not guaranteed. Hawthorn kind of in the middle there, losing against last week, I think it was against
the Bulldogs. Moved you up your ladder.
Moved Adelaide up. Hawthorn getting a couple extra points there as well has kind of solidified them in the top 8 for sure. But that does make it a 3-way tie for Gold Coast, Bulldogs, and Adelaide for that 4th position. So that could be pretty spicy towards the end of the season. But we'll have to see how that goes. And boom, there we go. Now you guys can see the game we're talking about. Look at that. Alrighty, so we're starting off Thursday night, 7:30 at Marvel Stadium, St Kilda versus Bulldogs. St Kilda coming off the bye this week, but usually teams coming off the bye a little bit slow. They tend to lose a lot. Well, Uncle,
they with the Bulldogs, didn't we?
They were 3-4 this weekend. The 4 teams coming off the bye this past weekend, 3 of them won. Bulldogs were the only team that lost their game coming off the bye. So, a little bit of a refresher that seems to have worked out quite well for most teams. But I will be backing the Bulldogs this week. I think their lineup is just a lot stronger than St Kilda's. So, I think it'll be a good game at Marvel. St Kilda tend to play out of their skin under the roof at Marvel, so I think it'll be really good.
They have a record at Marvel, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. No real home advantage because both teams play their home games there. So I think they've played the last 15 years at the venue. So
yeah,
nothing to speak of there for home ground. But the Bulldogs have won 4 of their last 5 games against each other. So a lot of people were saying the Bulldogs were pretty bad against Hawthorn, but I'd like to think the Hawks are pretty good. I think they showed up and put a lot of pressure on the Bulldogs, and and that's what caused them to fumble. They're a better side than what they showed last week, and
Yeah.
I fully expect them to win this week against St Kilda. Bulldogs for me.
Yep. Great. Well, look at us. Gone the same already. Thursday night, we have, by the way, we've just been joined here by a good little man over here. How are you, Thor? Thanks for showing your face. Friday night, and he's off already. Okay. Friday night, we've got Hawthorn versus the Crows at Tasmania. I know I'm a Crows man. Going the Hawks in Tasmania, they're just insane down there. So I'm going to go with Hawthorn to begin with, but I think it could be game of the round. Definitely for sure. Yeah. I believe it was probably 2, maybe 3 years ago when it was down in Tasmania and Adelaide sunk a goal very, very late to actually beat Hawthorn down there. So they do have experience winning in Tasmania, but so we'll see how it actually pans out. But I think it'll be really close with Hawthorn just probably edging it.
Yeah, as a Hawks fan, this would be one game I wouldn't be travelling to Tasmania for on a Friday night in Tasmania. It would be freezing cold.
No.
So there's no way I'd be down there watching that. So it could be low scoring just because it's a bit cold, and it could be a bit dewy and stuff like that with the cold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as you say, Adelaide did win the last time they played at Utahs. That was in 2023 by 3 points. And the game before that was in 2021. I think that was the game where Adelaide kicked 14 goals nil or something like that.
15 straight, and then we kicked 16-3 for the game and lost by like a couple points.
3 points.
If only we just kept it going and kicked bloody 19 goals straight, it would have been fine.
Yeah. So that was 3 points as well. So the last 2 times they played have been 3-point games. So based on that, I expect a bit of a cracking game here. I'm a bit biased and against to Hawthorn, and I think we've got a pretty good record down there as well, generally, in the whole scheme of things over the last 10, 15 years. So I'll go for the Hawks.
Yep, fair enough. On to the Saturday games now. We've got Brisbane versus GWS. We've got Brisbane versus GWS at the Gabba 120. Brisbane are looking to bounce back after a horrific fourth quarter. I thought they were really good Friday night against Adelaide. Throughout the whole game, it was just in front of goal in that fourth quarter that things just got really ugly. Especially from Zach Bailey, not to put one man down, but missing 2 or 3 shots on his own in the last 5 minutes or so. Not great, but we'll be looking at Brisbane win here. I think GWS still being a roller coaster of a team this year where they're really good, then they're really shit. They're really good, really shit. So it's hard to pick them, I think, at any point throughout the year for the remainder of the year for me. But yeah, going to go Brisbane at home.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic, weren't they? Brisbane, they rushed. They made poor decisions. Poor kicking, 0 goals 8 or something in the last quarter.
0-8.
So probably a game they should have won and iced. Most people thought Adelaide were a bit lucky, but they've had so much unluck over the years that it's good to see them get
nice to even out of it.
But
also, Adelaide kicked 0 goals 6 in the first quarter. So
that's true, they did. So yeah, it does even out. But I'd fully expect Brisbane to bounce back and win. GWS look horrible sometimes, don't they? They just look like a bottom 4 team, not a top 4 team. Brisbane have won the last 3 games against GWS at the Gabba. So they're on a bit of a roll, but GWS did win the previous 4 games at the Gabba. So it's a venue they do have some success at in recent times. So maybe it'll be a bit closer than I expect. The games that GWS have done well in this year have been away from home. So maybe we discount their form at NG in Canberra. And I still think Brisbane will win, but maybe it'll be a closer game than we think.
I think I said it on the stream or maybe last week's video that Giants just don't have a home field advantage at NG. Like, most teams get the big crowd, but they just don't get a big crowd, so they just travel. They just travel well because that's the only time they get a big crowd and can play against that. So we'll see how it goes. After that, we've got Essendon versus Geelong at the MCG. Geelong will be too strong here. I think Essendon, I thought they played a pretty good game against Carlton, bar that first quarter. They actually won 3 out of the 4 quarters this past weekend against Carlton. But I don't think they will be able to do that against Geelong. Geelong just too good even without Bailey Sniff. Max Holmes stepped up quite a large amount, got 40 odd touches or something. I think he'll get 3 votes for that game. He was phenomenal.
He was nearly on 30 before half time.
Yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, Geelong for me.
Is Bailey Sniff back this week?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Hamstring.
I don't really know what injury he had. Was it just a hamstring niggle or a tear?
Yeah, it was originally hamstring awareness, is what they said. And I said, congratulations, you now know you have a hamstring. You're aware of it. But then they kept saying hamstring tightness. So they said he felt it the week before in the last quarter in a tackling, and then just the adrenaline was just going through him, so he didn't really think much of it. Just kept going through the game. Was a little bit sore throughout the week, and then the pre warm up for the game on the weekend, he was like, nah. But we'll see. We'll see if that was actually an injury.
He was a laid out.
Yeah. I'll put it this
Geelong
way.
with a laid out.
It was like surprise. Oh, I put the game's multi on a couple hours before the game, and yeah, I had to redo it because it got avoided. So, yeah.
Who are you going for? Geelong.
I'm going with Geelong.
Yeah, they don't play each other home and away much. They only play each other once a year, and generally it's a Geelong home game. So they don't play actually too much each other at the MCG. So this will be interesting. But yeah, I think Geelong are one of the teams to beat this year. I think we've narrowed it down to 5 sides. Maybe 6. So I think there's only 6 teams in it now, and Geelong are certainly 1 or 2. So Geelong should win this fairly comfortably,
especially with their run home too. They have the easiest run home, if you will. They should finish top 2, get themselves a home final. Unfortunately, that home final should be at the G, probably. So bad luck for them, but they're just really strong. Like I want them to be bad. I want them to have to go through a rebuild at some stage in their careers because they just don't do it. They're just too good. So, yeah. Yeah. On to the Saturday night game, though. I kind of wish that we had the Essendon and Geelong one Saturday night. But instead of this one, switch these two around. We've got North Melbourne versus Fremantle. North Melbourne home game, but it's at Optus Stadium.
They sold last week's game and this week's game.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that a club needs to be selling home games in order to survive financially. I don't like it, but you got to do what you got to do, I guess. But not purely, but the fact that it's in Optus, but that's a very large reason that Fremantle are going to be my tip. I think Fremantle have been a very good team. Coming off the bye this week, we'll see if they can continue that 3-1 that happened this past weekend against North, who were pretty scrappy in the middle 2 quarters against West Coast. So Fremantle being a better team, I don't think that they'll be having a margin at 3/4 time that North Melbourne could come back to. So they'll be too strong for them.
Freo with a much better midfield than the Eagles, so they'll make them pay.
Oh yeah, big time.
For sure.
Yep.
North have only played twice against Fremantle, not at Optus Stadium, since 2017. So another 2 teams that only play each other generally once a year, and when they play, it's at Optus.
Okay. Oh, yep.
Yeah. But North did win there last year, so and Freo were travelling okay last year. North weren't, and they were able to do the upset. That was quite a big upset too, if I remember. So they'll be quite okay playing there, but yeah, Fremantle should be way too good here. On
to the Sunday games now. We're back to only having 7 games this week due to the bye rounds, the 4 worst weeks of the year where there's less games of footy. We got Port Adelaide versus Melbourne, probably my closest game, I think, of the round. I just don't know. Now that Port Adelaide have won against what is a top 8 side, you just don't know if this is them standing up for Ken now. Coming off the bye, probably had a lot to work on during that week off. It's whether or not Ken can get them to do it back-to-back weeks. I thought Melbourne were very, very good at home, but I don't know if they're going to be able to travel well. So I'm a little bit up in the air. Port Adelaide won their very first last quarter this past weekend of the year as well. That's a stat that I will never be able to forgive GWS for. It was really fun watching Port lose every quarter of the year. I don't know who I'm going to tip, Uncle. You go first. I'll let me think.
Yeah, well, both teams have been untippable this year. Just don't know who's going to turn. Melbourne were very good against Collingwood. Took it right up to them. And Port Adelaide, they seem to only play well when Ken Hingley's got his job on the line. The boys tend to fire up and win. So that's not going to happen this week. Ken's job's pretty safe now for another couple of weeks at least. Will Melbourne, that turn up on Monday, turn up on Sunday? Who knows? It's a real toss of the coin. In these sort of situations, I tend to lean towards the home side, so I'm going to go for Port Adelaide. Although Melbourne have won 3 of the past 4 games at Adelaide Oval and won them pretty well against Port Adelaide. So they do have a good record there, but I'll stick with the home side and go Port Adelaide without a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I've been leaning towards Port Adelaide all day thinking about this game. I will go with them as well. I just don't know how Melbourne's going to go travelling, and Port Adelaide on paper are a good enough side that they can beat a lot of good teams. It's just they haven't been showing up. So if this is now them showing up, then good on them. I think it's a bit late in the year, but we'll go with Port. And to finish off our round, we've got West Coast versus Carlton, Sunday night, 6:10 p.m. Well, Melbourne time anyway. Carlton, pretty... I don't know if easily is actually the right word anymore, because I'm not too sure. West Coast have done quite well over the last few weeks, especially in the middle quarters. I think it's their third quarters. They have only won 5 for the year, but all 5 of them have been in the last 6 weeks. So they're showing up ever since that that meeting they had with a bunch of senior players and their executives. They've been playing different footy. They've been playing better footy.
It's been okay, isn't it?
Yeah. At home as well. I reckon it could be a lot closer than what those odds are currently saying. I will go Carlton, but with not a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles are coming from a long way back. You'd think at the development, North and Richmond are probably ahead of them in the development, so I can't see the Eagles finishing not bottom next year either. I think they've got a long way to go before they're a half-decent team. But they're showing signs. Their pressure was good on the weekend. Their disposal was terrible.
Yeah.
But their pressure was good, and they're tackling well and smothering and doing those sort of things, and it's a good game style to build on. They won't beat Carlton. Carlton have bashed the Eagles the last 3 times at Optus by a combined margin of 224 points. It's over 3 games. So they smash them, and that could be with Mackay on the side. I don't think he'll be there this week, but I fully expect them to bash them again and 50-odd points plus.
It's fair. I reckon it's just going to be I reckon it's a different Carlton. A not as good Carlton and a slightly better Eagles might just pull that underneath 20 points and actually be a respectable loss for West Coast, I think. That's what I'm going with. Here we go. I got there is only 8,495 people left in the gauntlet. So we lost about three to 3.5 this past week. Thank you to probably GWS for that, I reckon.
Yes,
I reckon that was a pretty good one. I think this week, though, I'm still in the gauntlet, and I'm going to be locking in Fremantle at Optus Stadium. Nice. A nice chance to tick off someone outside of the 8 as well, especially using it in an away game for them, but it's actually at their home stadium. I think that'll be too much for North Melbourne to handle. And I could go Carlton, but gonna stick with Fremantle this weekend. Well, there you have it, guys. If you like it. If you don't, tell us why in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe if you can and want to, and join us for live watch-alongs Thursdays and Friday nights. We'll have the World Test Championship on the other side as well, just lingering there as well, so I can keep an eye on the score. But yeah, Saturday and Sunday as well. Just make sure to give us a subscribe so you can get a notification of what game we're doing that day. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed. We'll catch you later. Bye. Look after yourselves.